coming in a hurry with the furies breathing down your neck. Team by team reporters baffle Trump, tied the crop, look at that low plane. Fine, then, overflow, population, common food, but it'll do. Save yourself, serve yourself, world serve its own needs. Listen to your heart bleed, tell me with the rapture, the reverend, the right. Vitriolic, patriotic, slam fight, bright light, feeling pretty sight. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. 6 o'clock TV hour, don't get caught in foreign tower, slash and burn, return, listen to yourself, turn, lock them in a uniform and book burning, blood letting every motive escalate, automotive incinerate, light a candle, light a votive, step down, watch a heel crush, this means no fear, cavalier, renegade and steer clear, a tournament of lies, offer me solutions, offer me alternatives and I decline. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. I feel fine. Right. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. 'Cause it's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine.
Yes, it's the end of the world as we know it, Doomsters. And this is music for the end of the world. Every Wednesday here on 93.7 Edge FM in the lovely Beaker Valley, 7 till 8. And I am your host, Chris, once again, flying solo. Cass is away. Interstate. So I'm here on my own. And tonight, Doomers, I found a new, not a theory, but it's a new way of looking at collapse. It's called the CACTUS lens. Now, we look through collapse through a financial lens, like through a debt lens or an ecological lens about the environment. But this one is the CACTUS lens. And so we'll be getting into that a little bit later. Of course, I'll do a little bit of an update about things that have been happening around the world. And there's always lots of things happening. Apparently, 2025 is set to become the second hottest year ever recorded. We're on track for that. Of course, the hottest year was last year. And the hottest year before that, I think, was 2016, if memory serves me well. So we're doing pretty good. They're all coming up. And then next week, hopefully, on probably not next week, in a couple of weeks, I want to talk about this article from The Economist, which is a bastion of leftist ideology, the old Economist from London. It's just predicted that 2026 will be the year of collapse. This is from The Economist. So I'm quite interested to have a look at that. I haven't read the article yet. I've just read a few comments about it. But that will be in a week or two. And of course, next week, it's getting close to Christmas, but we will be doing shows right up until Christmas. And next week, very excited, we have a young person on the show. A lot of people have been asking me, what do young people think about collapse and the end of the world as we know it? Because I think in most of my groups that I communicate with, near-term human extinction, collapse club, a whole bunch of different ones, the average age would be pretty high. But this is a young person coming in next week to talk about their views on collapse and the end of the world as you know it. So, something to look forward to next week. But this week, we'll be talking about this cactus lens theory of the end of the world as we know it. Music-wise, what do we got? Wow. I've just got a whole bunch of songs that I feel like listening to. And I, looking at my track list here, I can see that actually Roy Buchanan features quite a lot. Well, I have been listening to Roy over the last week. I heard him on, I think it was Fast Eddie's show, or Snail Eddie's show. And I have been playing a bit of Roy recently. So a bit of Roy Buchanan, amongst other artists. And quite a few longer songs tonight. Not the gimmies, of course, but they're very short, but the other songs are. Okay, let's have a look at what's been happening in the week. All right. So the Southern Annular Mode, the SAM, is a major driver of weather patterns apparently in the Southern Hemisphere. I'd never heard of it before. They call it the difference in the zonal mean sea level pressure at 40 degrees south and 65 degrees south, which is down near Antarctica. And this is in the Nature magazine. A study there says that it is now at its most positive mean state in over 1,000 years. So this means that all the westerly winds, the prevailing winds in the Earth's middle latitudes, the roaring 40s as they call them, are likely to encroach further onto Antarctica. And so the experts are a little bit unsure about the overall impact that it'll have on the Antarctic ice sheet. Some theorise that it's going to accelerate the melting. Others believe maybe it might increase snowfall on the continent. We will see. Another thing, another study in Nature, Science and Data was published 2 weeks ago. It is the pollution danger from wildfires. And the new emission factors, they say, also cause dry matter emissions to increase more than 70% than carbon emissions, primarily due to the lower CO2 emission factor for the savannas and the agricultural burning. What else have we got going on? Oh, well, of course, unfortunately, the death toll from the Southeast Asia, from the cyclone Ditwa, is climbing in Sri Lanka and Indonesia and Thailand, Malaysia and Vietnam and a whole bunch of places. And then BVOCs. This is another one I didn't realise. BVOCs. They are biogenic volatile organic compounds, and they're released from plants into the air during large and sudden shifts in air humidity. And apparently, BVOCs help to create ozone and also extend the life of methane molecules, which we know are all leaking into the atmosphere from the thawing permafrost for a start, not to mention the seabeds around Antarctica. What else have we got? South Korea ended its second warmest autumn on record, data says. The Arctic sea ice hit a monthly new low. A whole bunch of December records were set across the Middle East on Monday with temperature. And now it just says some climate observers, who are they? I don't know, are calling for solar geoengineering to prevent a 2.5 degree rise in global temperatures. And they argue that sunlight reflective methods about sending reflective aerosols into the air may be the only way to keep temperatures down. As humanity enters a risky climatic era. Well, yeah, I suppose it's risky. I mean, extinction's fairly risky, I suppose. But of course, it's divided on whether or not this will actually do good or bad. I mean, some are fearing potential unintended consequences. And of course, with technology, what could go wrong? Istanbul and around Istanbul, the drought is worsening. And now Iran, we've been speaking about the water crisis in Tehran, but Iran now is turning to importing water. Serious water rationing as well. And then virtual water, which is the concept of importing water-intensive products that you would normally manufacture at home to free up the water in their own country. So you've got that. The Southern Ocean's currents are encroaching on Antarctica's carbon-rich deep water, disturbing the deep ocean levels of CO2 and driving atmospheric CO2 levels. And then Morocco apparently is building up its desalination efforts. It already has quite a few desalination plants in Morocco, but now they're building them up to more than double of their available drinking water sourced from desalination plants. So it's about 25% now of the country's total drinking water, but it will be 60% by the end of the decade, another 5 years. 60% of their drinking water come from desalination plants. And of course, what do you need for desalination plants? You need oil. And then, of course, on the South African coast, just over a decade ago, they had a huge penguin die-off. Over 60,000 penguins died off. And scientists have just finished doing their study, concluding that it was a consequence of human overfishing of sardines, which led to a food shortage that starved the penguins to death. So there you go. Another report says that farming is becoming untenable across Britain due to a combination of drought, flooding, heat waves. The soggy soil delayed the start to the grow season this year. And globally, apparently, we are deepening our dependence on fertilisers, which come from fossil fuels, and eroding our topsoil. So there we go. And now, research from Europe suggests that brake emissions have overtaken vehicle emissions, that's from the engines, on the continent. So the wearing of the tyres, the wearing down of the tyres, is a huge microplastics pollution, apparently. And it's getting larger and larger. And some scientists are saying that if you lower speed limits, you can cut down on your tyre wear, apparently. That's got to go down, Will. I'm sure people want to drive slower. Oh, yes. What else have we got? The population of people in urban areas in Africa is expected to triple by 2050. When I read all these things about 2050, I don't know about you, Doomsters, but I just think, man, don't they know it's going to be a completely different world in 2050? I don't think we're going to have the population in 2050. Another interesting one is the computer RAM shortage, RAM. Apparently, there's a RAM shortage, and it now is extending beyond RAM to storage of all kinds, flash drives, USBs, graphic processors, all that sort of stuff. And meanwhile, there is no brakes on the construction of data centres around the world. It is happening at breakneck speed, apparently. Even here in Australia, where I don't know if they've started, but they're planning on building data centres and using water from our artesian water basin as well. I mean, mainly for AI. It's insanity. All right, Doomsters, we're going to get onto that cactus theory very soon. But first we need a song. And I'm going to have a Roy Buchanan song. This is from Livestock. Can I Change My Mind? And unfortunately, Doomsters, no, we can't change our mind. We are going extinct. That's how it is. It's just that most people haven't accepted it yet. They may be aware, just like we were talking about last week. They're collapse aware, but that matters as much as a hill of beans if you're not collapse acceptance. So here it is, Roy Buchanan, Can I Change My Mind?
As I pack my bags to leave, You already know Your Own Way for supporting locals living with disability. Now we're here for our aged care community too. Needing a little help doesn't mean giving up the life you love, because in-home care isn't about giving up your independence, it's about keeping it. At Your Own Way, we support you to stay where you're happiest, at home. Whether it's a little help around the house, getting to appointments, or more complex care, we're here to support you. Your care, your choice, your own way. Visit yourownway.org.au for in-home care. Your Own Way. Station sponsor.
Bega Independent Batteries are a proudly Australian company and not only supply all types of batteries, but quality off-grid kits, solar pumps and more to the southeast coast of New South Wales and northern Victoria. They supply all types of batteries and associated products, everything from marine, aeroplane and automobile, through to trucks, RVs, caravans, golf carts and smaller consumable batteries. Their aim is to provide quality products at the best possible prices. Give them a ring on 0436 460 460 or check out the website at www.ibsbega.com.au. Bega Independent Batteries sponsor 93.7 Edge FM.
Thank you, dear sponsors. That was Roy Buchanan with Can I Change My Mind? That was from a live album, Telemaster, live in 75. All right, Doomsters, let's get on to this article. Now, unfortunately, I don't know who wrote it, but I really like the way they write. So it's called The Cactus Lens, A Clearer View. And this, whoever it was, I'll have to find out. I don't know who it is. Until recently, they write, there have been three main lenses through which we view our overshoot predicament. It's either through debt or energy or ecology, or maybe a combination of all three. And each lens exposes a different aspect of the picture, but not the whole picture. So each lens focuses on different threats with different time frames, different consequences, and each lens suggests a different optimal response. Overshoot awareness varies by the lens and group within society. So the awareness of leaders is generally higher than citizens, and in some cases this is deliberate and warranted because broad citizen awareness of the debt and energy threats would increase the probability of short-term collapse. For leaders and citizens that see through any of the lenses, their understanding tends to be incomplete, which has resulted in plans of action that will not help, or can even make the situation worse. So this incomplete understanding is caused in part because the issues are very complex, and in part because some aspects of human overshoot have no acceptable or feasible solution. I mean, we know that, Doomsters, right? And in part because of the human tendency to deny unpleasant realities. As we know, by our whole cognitive dissonance and also it's explained by this Mort theory, which I think, what's the Mort theory? The Mort theory is mind over reality transition theory, which is how we deal with death, basically. We spoke about it last week. So this writer says, I think the Cactus Lens provides the clearest view of what is going on and what we should expect in the short to medium term, and what we should do if we should do anything. And the Cactus Lens changes what's in the best interests of citizens to understand. The debt and energy lenses, looking through that, suggest that citizens should remain in the dark. The ecology lens suggests that it doesn't matter what citizens understand because the ecology threats are longer term than debt, energy and cactus, and because awareness of ecology issues have not and will not improve anything of substance due to the nature of modernity. So now they say that the introduction of the Cactus Lens, it is now in the best short-term interests of all groups, countries, leaders and citizens for awareness to be as widespread as possible. But achieving this broad cactus awareness will be difficult because it is very unpleasant and therefore will be blocked by our genetic denial behaviour, as we were speaking about last week. So let's go through the different lenses. The awareness lens, which is debt. So the theory is that modernity requires abundant credit, And because most of our mines and machines and technology and structures require significant upfront capital to build, so we require a fractional reserve debt-backed monetary system, which is now used by every country in the world. I mean, it's global. And so this requires economic growth to not collapse, because money is loaned into existence and growth is needed to pay interest, which means our economic system requires infinite growth on a finite planet, which we know is not logical, which of course is impossible. It means we should expect the growth to slow and prosperity to decline, as they are, culminating in a dramatic and harmful economic reset. Quite a few citizens see through the debt lens, maybe a significant minority. This is according to this writer. And most aware citizens assume that the reset is a ways off in the future. Some people are prepared to weather a storm with cash or gold or Bitcoin or sardines or something. Others trust or hope that the central banks will print enough money to kick the can past the expiry date. Leaders understand and acknowledge the debt problem, but are careful to not cause panic because herd emotions could trigger a reset. And they're also careful to not explain the driver of the debt problem, which is, of course, energy depletion. And we'll look at that when we look at through the energy lens. So the debt threat is closer and more severe than our leaders let on, as demonstrated by social unrest everywhere is rising because living standards are falling, the wealth gap's widening, geopolitical tensions are rising, democracies are oscillating between wider extremes. Most countries have historically high levels of growing debt. Growth has slowed in most countries, and now the only growth possible comes at the expense of adding more debt. No political party in power anywhere reduces their deficit or balances their budget because it's now impossible without crashing the system. Central banks work hard behind the curtain to keep our everything bubble inflated and to prevent any significant correction of stock or asset prices. Printing bazookas are used to blast any threat before it builds momentum. Our leaders tried but failed to use COVID as an excuse to implement the tools needed to manage an economic reset. And so what this implies is that the debt lens implies a zero-sum game. In a no-growth world, one country's gain is another country's loss. If there is no gain for everyone, if there's no growth for everyone. So our leaders believe that a country that succeeds in harming its competitors will experience less damage from an economic reset. So the goal is to ensure that the opponents reset before you do, on the assumption that this will prevent or delay your own reset by gaining control of more growth, generating assets and markets. Hence, we see the weaponisation of tariffs and trade, regime change operations, and proxy wars intended to weaken or capture opponents. Just look around the world. So the conclusion is that a debt reset is mathematically inevitable and will reduce the standard of living for the majority. They're hard to predict and control because herd emotions drive the process. So that's why our political leaders have good reasons to not want citizens to be aware of the seriousness of the debt problem. And they are operating on the assumption of a zero-sum game. So in the CACTUS lens section, all right, so that was looking through the lens of debt. The next lens is we've got debt, energy, and ecology. So the next lens is energy. And we'll look at that after the next song, which is going out to little Marley down in Bendigo, who is actually my brand new grandchild who came 5 weeks early. So she's down there in the hospital in Bendigo with her parents with tube up her nose, doing pretty good. Very small, but doing pretty good. And this song is for Marley. And of course, it's a Marley song. Three Little Birds. So thinking of you, Marley, keep on putting putting that weight on. Three Little Birds for Marley by Marley. Three Little Birds, Bob Marley. And that was for Marley, down in the hospital in Bendigo, who's just put on 26 grams, so we're very happy about that. She came into the world a little bit early, but she's doing fine. Okay, Doomsters. We're talking about this, looking at our overshoot predicament through the lens of CACTUS. And as you know, if something's cactus, something is gone, baby. And great name. It's actually an acronym, but the word works well too. Okay, so let's look through how people look at overshoot through the energy lens. So in theory, modernity requires abundant energy, net energy. And net energy is the energy that remains after using energy to extract more energy. I mean, we need to use energy to get more energy. So modernity requires abundant net energy. Because all our food, water, minerals, technology, products, services are produced and delivered by machines powered by energy. And diesel is the big keystone energy that powers our vital mining machines, tractors, combines, trucks, trains, ships, agriculture. Renewable energy is not a solution to non-renewable because renewables require abundant non-renewable energy to build, to install, to manufacture, to maintain and to augment. So that's what we call greenwashing, Doomsters, as you know. Discovery of new fossil energy reserves is much slower than depletion of existing reserves, so the gap is growing. And the quality of all our non-renewable energy reserves is declining as they deplete. Because, of course, we get the easiest, the best oil first. So it means that net energy is falling, which explains why growth is slowing and prosperity is declining. Just like our housing crisis. It's not a housing crisis. It's the end of the world as we know it, people. Debt is growing faster than GDP everywhere. And this trend is going to continue and accelerate. Our leaders believe that modernity will continue for those countries that have access to energy. And that is why good old Trumpy is going to bomb Venezuela soon. So a few citizens see through the energy lens, not many. And there are many false energy beliefs in wide circulation, including net zero, peak oil demand, green energy, renewables outpacing fossils, nuclear renaissance, space mining, etc., etc. And these beliefs are nonsense because they're not grounded in science or economics, but the issues are complex and it's difficult for a citizen to determine the truth, especially with deliberate misdirection from our leaders and our media. And, of course, with our denial-driving behaviour. And denial is a strong force that fogs the energy lens because short of a near-zero probability miracle, there is no solution, and the outlook is steadily worsening living standards. There's no solution to our energy shortfall. And most leaders, with help from their energy-aware militaries, understand what's going on and know that the energy threat is imminent. Hence, all our new gas fields being given the green light in Australia. And evidence of this includes the inflation of energy-intensive products like food is high, energy-intensive infrastructures not being properly maintained, energy-intensive manufacturing like weapons is struggling to keep up with demand despite plentiful printed money available, and war is shifting to lower energy methods such as drones. Also, debt is accelerating, living standards are falling, the wealth gap's widening, geopolitical tensions are rising, and democracies are at risk, as we have seen. Fracked oil is peaking because fracked oil was the unexpected saviour that brought us an extra decade after conventional oil peaked. And so our leaders don't want their citizens to panic or to spook the stock market bubble, which depends on growth, so they don't discuss the energy problem. And they work hard to distract citizens with nonsense like optimism for a renewable transition or by stoking emotions over socially divisive issues such as immigration. Trump reversed his no more regime change promise after being sworn in because he was briefed about the US debt and oil forecasts. That's why he said no, he's not going to invade any country, he's not going to start any wars, and now, bang, he's going into Venezuela. So every country with significant exportable oil reserves that is not controlled by the US is either under attack or being regime changed right now, including Russia, Iran, Syria, Venezuela, and Nigeria. And even allies with oil or fossil fuels like Canada and Greenland have been threatened with annexation or invasion or something. And propaganda is successfully being used to convince citizens that regime change operations are to prevent terrorism or drug trafficking. Anything except the oil, not to control the oil. Meanwhile, China is stockpiling their strategic oil reserves. And the UK, having drained its own oil reserves, now wants war with energy-rich Russia. And now Hail Mary investments are praying for a miracle in AI and nuclear energy. So the implications of this is that the energy lens implies a zero-sum game. In an energy-scarce world, one country's gain is another country's loss. So our leaders understand that their country's prosperity requires non-renewable energy and that it has to be secured by any means necessary, including taking it by force from others. And so countries are preparing for war by increasing military expenditures, even at the expense of social services. Nuclear arms treaties are being abandoned. The arms race is restarting. So modernity requires growth, and there is not enough oil left for everyone to grow. And so our leaders have good reasons to not want citizens to be aware of the seriousness of the energy problem, because our political leaders are operating on the assumption of a zero-sum game. And finally, we have looking through the ecology lens. But we'll have a quick song before that. And I think we might have one of my favourite bands, the Sunny Boys, from Brisbane, from the 80s, I think, were they? The 80s? Anyway, this is a song, a little bit ironic, called Happy Man. Here are the Sunny Boys with Happy Man.
From the position I stand, yeah. Stop that sound, can't you leave me alone? Try to understand me now. Gotta hang out, I can't communicate. I've gotta hang out, but I'm a happy man.
Yeah, I'm a happy man, baby. I'm a happy man, Doomsters. That was the Sunny Boys. When's that from? 84? Oh, geez, I don't know. I can find out, but not right now. Okay, back to our looking at the overshoot predicament, I should say, through the cactus lens. Now, the third lens that most people look at overshoot through is, of course, the ecology lens, which is the resources consumed and the wastes generated and the habitats occupied by the large and growing population of us, humans, is displacing other species and causing damage to ecosystems faster than can be repaired by the planet's natural recycling systems. So the 3 billion humans, plus their 35 billion heads of livestock, plus their billions of pets and other freeloaders like rats, now weigh apparently 80 times more than all the wild land mammals combined. And Homo sapiens, us, use 30 to 40% of the net primary productivity of all sunlight hitting the planet, because that's where we get our energy from, the sun. Plus 16 trillion litres per day of ancient sunlight stored as oil, gas. Plus 11 trillion of cubic metres per day of ancient sunlight stored as natural gas. Plus 24 trillion kilograms per day of ancient sunlight stored as coal. And so the sixth mass extinction is definitely underway right now. And it's 7 now of the 9 planetary boundaries have been crossed, including climate change, biodiversity, deforestation, freshwater, nitrogen cycle, etc. We've already passed the 1.5 degrees Celsius limit that we signed off on in Paris, and we're on the path to plus 4 degrees temperature increase. That is incompatible with civilization and agriculture. Biodiverse forests, like we've spoken about this before, with the Amazon being replaced with monocrop agriculture. The fisheries are in decline. Sea level rise is damaging cities. Glacier loss threatens the survival of several countries. Chemical toxins, microplastics are everywhere. And the awareness of leaders and citizens about the ecological problem varies widely. Most people are aware of some of the problems. Everyone knows about CO2. But it's sort of superficial. They simplify them down to one issue like CO2 that can be fixed with solar panels and electric cars. I mean, it's complete bullshit. Of course it can't. That's just one little part of the pollution crisis that we're in. So few are aware of the breadth and depth of the problem. Many people deny the severity of the problems, or that we've even caused the problems ourselves. Almost everyone denies the implications of ecological problems and the fact that there is almost nothing that can be done to address them while maintaining our modernity and our population. They're incompatible. Every effort by every country and every organisation, every citizen to address these problems has failed and will continue to fail until something forces an involuntary change to population lifestyles. And that is coming, my friends, that is coming. In some places it's already come. So the view through the ecology lens is dire. The long-term implications are worse than debt and energy because it spells extinction. And so the conclusion is that life-threatening ecological problems for the majority of people are further in the future than the imminent problems seen through debt and energy. So all of the ecological problems are caused by the human species footprint, which is the product of our lifestyle and population. And none of the ecological problems can be addressed without reducing and confronting our per capita consumption. The debt and cactus lenses show that the modernity requires growth, which means that the ecological problems are a classic predicament without a solution. And so this shows that growth will not continue and the human footprint will soon shrink. So maybe there might be an improvement to future ecology trends. I doubt it, though. So now let's get to the cactus. When we look through the cactus lens, this is the new lens that this writer is talking about. CACTUS meaning complexity accelerated collapse of a thermodynamically unsustainable system. An acronym, CACTUS, because we are cactus doomsters. We know that. We know that. So what it means is that modernity requires abundant minerals and energy. And the majority of the resources, minerals and energy we use are non-renewable. They are finite. There's only a certain amount. Recycling is economically, technically impossible for most minerals, really. And the ones that we can recycle, the losses in the recycling process still result in long-term depletion. And the quality of all those mineral and energy reserves decline as they deplete because we always harvest the best first. So the mineral and energy extraction technologies have got to increase in complexity to compensate for their falling quality to maintain flows for resources. Rising complexity increases the materials, processes, skills, locations, and the number of people needed to design and manufacture all these technologies. And the rising complexity requires a growing market to support the increasing cost. A growing market requires a growing economy and population, and a growing economy and population increases the consumption of all minerals and energy, and there we have the whole cycle, doomsters. So this self-reinforcing complexity growth system drives an increase in mineral and energy flows until technology, markets, population can no longer keep up with growing waste and declining reserve qualities, and a critical mineral or energy becomes unavailable in the quantities required. And scarcity of the critical mineral energy triggers a system-wide technology breakdown cascade because many technologies depend on it. And many other technologies depend on those technologies. Because it's a complex network of dependencies that we have somehow or other made in our world. And the unavailability of many technologies then causes many more mineral and energy flows to become unavailable in the quantities required, etc., etc. So this self-reinforcing collapse of complexity, technology and resource flows is certain at some point in the not-too-distant future, and it will result in a supernova end. I like this word, a supernova end to modernity and civilization. What does that mean? That means it's the end of the world as we know it, doomsters, as we know. A supernova end, we all know what that means, a black hole. Nothing can be done to prevent this outcome, just as nothing can be done to prevent the collapse of a star. It's physics, people. It's science. It's the best thing that we've got to understand our universe. And it's not possible to have modernity without infinite growth on a finite planet, which means that modernity will be short-lived on this planet and elsewhere in the universe if it is happening. And so, interestingly, hence the logical conclusion then, or the solution to the Fermi paradox, which we have spoken about before, which says that species that reach modernity anywhere in the universe do not last long enough to detect others, because they've also others that have also reached modernity, because we actually are the reason for the end of our existence. So a tiny minority of people see through the cactus lens. And the cactus view of modernity hasn't been widely discussed. And maybe limits to growth, maybe assumed collapse could be avoided by adopting a steady state population, etc. But looking through the cactus lens shows that this assumption is incorrect. Any dependence on any resource that is not naturally recycled by ecological systems will eventually result in a collapse, back to a state that is not dependent on the resource. The cactus lens provides several profound insights that create a clearer view than the looking through, overshoot through the depth, energy or ecology lenses. For example, every non-renewable resource that civilization depends on. What do we need? Fossil fuels, oil, gas, coal, oil sands, shale, peat, nuclear fuels, plutonium, thorium, iron, metals, aluminium, copper, nickel, cobalt, lithium, zinc, lead, tin, silver, gold, platinum, titanium, magnesium, rare earth elements, Industrial minerals, phosphate rock, potash, sulfur, fluorspar, gypsum, halite, graphite, silica sand. I mean, there's so many. Construction materials, limestone, aggregates, clay, granite, marble, slate, stone. Fossil groundwater aquifers. All these things. Topsoil, old growth forests, biodiversity, coral reefs, major fish stocks. Everything is on the way out. So the first key insight is that modernity depends on many non-renewable materials, not just energy. And they are all critical for all the technologies that enable our modern life. The second key insight is that modernity requires growth. And this growth requirement is physical and non-negotiable, and it just can't continue. And the third key insight is that the requirement for growth, coupled with the inevitable decline in reserve qualities of all our resources, creates a self-amplifying feedback loop. Every one of those non-renewable resources that we depend on, which creates many failure points. And the fourth key insight is that this growth and collapse process is certain for any system that is dependent on non-renewable resources. This means there is no possible sustainable solution for advanced civilization anywhere in the universe, because advanced civilization is not possible without non-renewable resources. And the last thing you got to think about is that there will be no recovery of modernity after the collapse. It's pretty simple once you get your head around it. It's not a complicated idea to understand. So this cactus lens shows us that a zero-sum game strategy will not achieve the desired outcomes that our political leaders think so. In fact, the path that all our leaders are putting us on will reduce the time to collapse, or reduce the quality of time that remains. So they are hastening our demise. I mean, we can't stop the demise, but we can sort of at least delay it a little bit. But and in some examples that they say is wasting resources, fragmenting the market, decreasing efficiencies by trying to duplicate and offshore manufacturing, wasting resources on bigger militaries that aren't helping, wasting resources on climate change policies that won't help, wasting resources by subsidising renewable energy that won't help, ignoring international law when it conflicts with zero-sum goals, a whole bunch of stuff. Wars, regime change. So the cactus lens points us much clearer, I think, to a positive sum game strategy. So modernity is a global system of unimaginable complexity dependent on resources, technologies, processes and skills sourced from all 6 continents. A complex component will often travel back and forth between the continents many times in the process of converting its constituent minerals into a finished product. Just about every country plays a role in this complex web that sustains all of our lives on this planet. Modernity depends on millions of interdependent components. And it's not going to get easier. All right, peeps. We might put a little bit more. Oh, let me finish off with some actions. This is the writer saying, actions that might delay the collapse and optimise the quality of life until the end. Include, for example, avoid conflicts and wars that harm citizens, damage supply chains, or waste non-renewable energy and minerals, stop the subsidy of renewable energy that wastes non-renewable resources, stop wasting money on climate change policies that will not change the outcome, put sulfur back into ship fuel to strengthen the ozone, strengthen global governance and conflict resolution via UN-like organisations, renew and improve treaties to reduce the risk of nuclear war, remove barriers to trade, encourage well-regulated immigration to optimise global labour. There's a whole bunch of things. But looking at our leaders anywhere in the world, I can't see any of them talking about this. All right, Doomsters. Anyway, that was an interesting article about looking at Overshoot through the Cactus lens. I hadn't come across that before, and I found it quite interesting. Okay, it's 8 o'clock, the end of another show. I will be back next week with a special guest, a young person. And by young, I mean anyone under 30. That's what I mean. And they'll be telling us their views and also bringing us some cool songs. So we have to go out. Of course, we're going to go out with the Gimmies again because I always play a Gimme song. And this song, well, interesting. Only the good die young. Well, there we go. I mean, I don't know if they're all good, but we're all this generation are all going to be dying young, that's for sure, unfortunately. So heroes. Oh, and as I say, people, collapse is inevitable, but justice is not. So there are things that we can still work for. And always encouraging building those community relationships and community structures, because they are the ones that are the most important. And we're lucky down here in the Bega Valley, we have quite a few very strong, worthwhile community organisations. Edge FM being one of them. So yes, very important to keep strengthening those ties, Doomsters, wherever you are in the world. But we'll go out with the Gimmies. I think it was originally a Billy Joel song, Only the Good Die Young. But the Gimmies do a good version of it. And I will see you next week. Good night, everyone. See you next week. Here are the Gimmies.
Come out for change, but don't let me wait. That with yours not much too late. Sooner or later it comes down to fate. I might as well be the one. Well, they showed you a statue and told you to pray. Put you a temple and locked you away. Never told you the price you would pay. The things that you might have done. And only the good die young. 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 You might have heard I run with a dangerous crowd. We ain't too pretty, we ain't too proud. Might be laughing a bit too loud. That never hurt no one. Oh, come on, pretend you show me a sign. Send up a signal, I'll throw you the line. Stained glass curtain you're hiding behind. Never left in the sun. Only the good die young. 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 You got a nice white dress and a party on your confirmation. You got a brand new soul and a cross of gold. But Virginia, they didn't give you quite enough information. You never thought of me.